disabilities? Are you searching for dignified facilities to serve the elderly? Then search no more. The Grange Healthcare Facility is simply the best place to satisfy your needs. It is the first of its kind in St. Kitts, situated just 7 miles out of Bastia, with beautifully landscaped grounds in serene and tranquil surroundings. The Grange offers residential care places, daycare facilities for seniors, convalescent care, rehabilitation services, overnight, weekend and holiday stay, and complementary therapies. A caring and experienced staff has promised to take good care of you or your loved ones. For more information and bookings, call 465-8020 or 466-5525 or fax your requests to 466-8221.
It's time to do better. Beacon's Be Better Group Health Plan now offers new and improved options that make health insurance affordable for small to medium businesses. Good medical cover gives you a competitive edge and takes care of the people that take care of your business. Get a better plan to build a better business. Call Kane Agencies or log on to beacon.co.tt for more info today.
Mommy, remember you told me if I pass all my exams, you would buy me a brand new laptop computer, a cell phone, and a PlayStation 4? Well, here are the results.
Wow, son, you did great. But where can I find all these stuff at affordable prices?
Smart Electronics, Mommy. They have stuff for the entire family. They have washing machines, cell phones, tablets, refrigerators, TVs, blenders, irons, microwave ovens, Bluetooth speakers, and much, much more. And they are located at Port Zante opposite the food court.
Wow, but son, where did you get all these information?
My friend told me, and he also told me if you buy them somewhere else, they won't last.
Is that so?
Yes, Mommy, so I don't want you to buy them anywhere else but Smart Electronics.
Okay, son, get dressed. We're going down to Smart Electronics.
No need to go to St. Martin anymore. We have everything available right here in St. Kitts. And remember, we have only one store in St. Kitts, and we are located at Port Zante opposite the food court. Smart Electronics, way to live a smart life.
Did you know that National Bank offers very favorable terms and low interest rate to switch your home mortgage? Or in-house legal department will process your mortgage in a jiffy and free of cost. Switch your home mortgage now and get a peace of mind knowing that we are here for you. National Bank, always here.
It's your boy, GQ, the man behind the cue.
Boy, you bring no lyrics to me in a song, boy. You're harassing me for. Not me, huh? Attacking me, they say Kinta come back to sing. We want a man like you back in the Kaiser wing. So many topics out there for you to sing about. Don't be no damn coward and shut up your mouth. They want me to sing about Pam and about labor, who thief in money, and about the PLP. How they get my number, I don't really know. Who ain't WhatsApping me, putting it on paper, I tell them no. Me ain't singing the calypso. Sing about the leaders' bad decision. That is why they lost election. The topic is too big for me. Me ain't singing no controversy. The overpriced hot at Court Zante. The missing lights at Old Road Bay. The topic is too big for me. Me ain't singing no controversy. The topic.
Hey, that's the sounds of Kinta, bringing us down to the 14-minute mark after the hour of 9. We're getting ready for our next segment. It's Policing with You, coming up right now.
Oh, yo. I'm wait. Oh, yo. Oh, yo. I'm wait. Oh, yo. Tell me what you think about Marcus. Tell me what you think about Christ. Made their sacrifice now. Tell me what you think about equal
Okay, pleasant good morning to everyone out there in the listening audience, both on the internet and on the radio. I want to welcome to another featured program of Policing with You. Now, today is the last Policing with You program for 2023, so I want to wish you a festive and safe Carnival, Merry Christmas to everyone, and a Happy New Year 2023. Now today I have in the studio with me Superintendent David, who is the Divisional B Commander and also the Security Liaison for the Carnival Committee, and I also have Superintendent Henry, which is Divisional A. We're going to jump into some questions and answer segment. Today specifically we are talking about sensitizing the general public with security tips for the upcoming season, and also touch on concern application for events and some things that have needed to know in order for the smooth running of events and security tips, and you the general public enjoying your Christmas and the festive season. Now I'm just going to mention a few security tips, and then we're going to just jump into the questions for the both superintendents. Now, some security tips for the homes is that to make your house, how to make your house a less of a target. You must lock all the doors and windows before you retire to bed. So lock all the doors and windows before you retire to bed, and ensure that your security cameras and motion sensor lights are working, and install burglar bars. It's a nice time to back check your security cameras and all those things and make sure that they're working. Trim the grass and bushes about 6 feet from your fence line, and after doing house maintenance, do not leave ladders and other items next to your house that can be used by would-be criminals to climb through your window. So those are just some security tips to open the program that we have today. I will be mentioning some security tips as we go along. But I'll just jump into some questions. So welcome both superintendents here to Policing with You radio program.
Good morning, thank you very much, Superintendent Francis, JQ, and the listening audience, whether on the radio or other social media platform, and to my good friend here, Superintendent Henry, as he assists Superintendent Francis in presenting this program today.
Yes, please.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to you both. Now we're going to jump straight into the program. It's going to be a packed program. We're going to be sharing a lot of information to the general public. And after we break for a word from our sponsors, we're going to come back and the lines will be open for you guys to ask all the questions that you want by calling into the radio program. Okay, so the COVID-19 Act has been repealed and all the COVID-19 restrictions lifted. You know that. So do event planners and promoters still have to apply for permission to host events?
Superintendent?
The short answer for that is yes. We know the COVID-19 Act speaks specifically to events and persons who require to host events during COVID-19 period. Because of the gathering, the restrictions were more geared towards limiting or restricting the number of persons who gathered or curtailing gatherings generally. But now that those restrictions are lifted, there's no more curtailment on gatherings and events. But prior to COVID, there was a provision in the Small Charges Act that require any person who are using any noisy instruments in public music, any noisy instrument, even if you are to have a meeting that you're going to use a PA public address system, you must seek permission for that. Now, that has not been repealed. That provision has not been repealed. It is still in effect, and that is under the Small Charges Act. I think it's section 56. I'll get the correct section. But once you are having any event in a public place and you are using noisy instruments, loudspeakers, speakers, hi-fi systems, you are required to have permission for that. So you're not seeking permission per se to host the event, but you're seeking permission to play loud music. So if you are to have a party without music, you don't need to seek permission from us, because
party without loud music,
without any music, we'll just have a gathering and everybody gonna be just socializing and talking. There is no requirement for permission. Under the COVID-19 Act, if you're gonna have such a gathering, even without music, then you're required to have permission, because the restriction then was on events and gatherings. That has been repealed. So the restriction is no longer on gatherings or events. The restriction is on the playing of loud music. So you're really seeking permission to play loud music. But with cloak, you can say you're seeking permission to have an event. But if you want to have an event without music, which is highly unlikely, you're not going to have a party and you're not going to have music. But if you decide to have a party without music, without any sort of amplified system, amplified music, then well, let me not say amplified music, any sort of music, because even if you're going to have a big drum, that is a noisy instrument, you're required to have permission. So if you're going to have not going to have any music at all, then you don't need permission.
Okay, because we have to bear in mind that we have neighbors and people around, and the police have to know what's going on. Just a quick follow-up with that question, just for the persons, because we know there are individuals, there are regular individuals who apply for events, and there might be one or two persons coming up who say, I want to go have an event, try something this Christmas. You could briefly give us an idea as to how to go about applying for an event? Is it digital, paper-wise?
We've made the process easier, very easy. Prior to COVID-19, a person would have to write a letter and send it to the Commissioner of Police, send it to his office. So you have to write a letter, say, I wish to have this event at this place, and give all the information, and you send it to the Commissioner's office. The Commissioner Secretary would get it and send it in to him, he would approve it. She would type the response, you have permission, and then she would put the letter downstairs in the station or at the Secretary's office, and the person would have to come back to the station and collect their letter.
Having paid the fee.
And then when you come back for your letter, you pay the fee. And then they would now have to copy that letter to the station district where the event will be held. So if the event would be in Keon, they would have to get a copy of that letter to the Keon police station, so that the Keon police is aware that there's an event.
So that was the old process.
That was the long drawn out process. You have to make 2 trips to the station. One to bring the letter, and the other one to collect your permission and pay your fee and wait for a receipt. Now it is so easy that we just log on any time of day or night, any place. You could even be in America having vacation and you want to. You know that you're going to have an event later when you return. You could stay in America and make an application. You go to the police website, police.kn, fill out the events application form, put in necessary information, submit it, you pay the fees there. You get
pay the fees online as well?
Pay the fees online.
Wow.
And you'll get your response in a couple of days online. So you don't need to make any trip to the station, you don't need to call anybody unless of course you develop any issue, and you get your permission right here from the comfort of your home.
Okay, thank you very much, sir, because I know, as things develop, some person might want to come on stream to try something, to make a little change here and there, to try a little event here and there. Thank you very much. Okay, so why is there a time restriction on events, Superintendent?
The timing is there because one, we want to ensure that persons who are not a part of the event they too can enjoy their livelihood by sleeping, get the deserved rest that they need. And so there are some people, if you do not put a limit, they can start 5 p.m. And end 5 p.m. Yeah, because we know our culture.
5 p.m. go straight to 5 a.m. go down and 5 p.m.
Yeah. Because remember, our people, a good cross section, we are just party goers.
Okay.
And until you're tired, you will go and go and go. And even sometimes when you're ready to go, people still want to go because they're not tired yet. And especially if you have food and drink, they're going to jam.
Yes.
So we have to put a time limit to that for the neighboring persons so that they too can have tranquility. Because it is not because you have a permit, just to put it back on something what Superintendent Henry says, not because the police give a permit, you can still go and disturb the neighborhood. That's why on the permit it says that you should not disturb the neighborhood. And in the interest of the public, you can also either cause it to turn down or cause it to shut it down. So I use this opportunity to encourage our persons who permit and have been granted to be considerate when a neighbor make a complaint or when the police come and make the request for you to turn down. Don't give trouble, because if you give trouble, that is a reason for us to turn it down, because you're not willing to comply with the law. And it's also a restriction that can cause us to close the music down.
Okay, so
just to piggyback on the Superintendent's response, his response is geared towards events that are in residential areas. You don't want to have the neighborhood being disturbed all night, and so you have a cut-off period. But what about if it is an area that is not residential, a nightclub, for example, or a bar that is in a commercial district? Why is the need to cut off the event? This is a safety measure for us. We know at these events, all of them, I would take the risk and say all of them, especially at the nightclubs, at the bars, alcohol is consumed at these events. And the longer persons stay consuming alcohol, the more intoxicated they become. And the more intoxicated they become, there is a higher risk of violence at the venue, or after the venue, those persons are driving to go home, and there is a risk of being too intoxicated to drive.
And the stats are there to prove it.
And we have stats to prove it. Whenever we have events go down later, we have more violence at the events, and we have more traffic accidents after the event. And so we thought that we cut off persons early from drinking, then there is the likelihood is reduced that they would be too intoxicated to drive or to keep themselves from getting in trouble. So it's a safety measure for us. From our statistics, it has shown that the longer persons drink, the more they become intoxicated, and the greater the risk of accidents and violence. And it is so all over the world. If you go to England, Latin America, there is a cut-off time. In some states it is 2 o'clock, some states it's 3 o'clock, some states it's 4 o'clock. But based on their own statistics, they will have a cut-off there. But it's not open-ended anywhere in the world. They just drink as long as they like all night at a club.
Okay, so 2 questions I wanted to ask. 2 in 1. Can the permission be withdrawn? And is the cut-off time that you spoke of, is the cut-off time a set cut-off time? I know there will be different fringe activities, as you said, nightclubs, and maybe somebody might have something in the backyard. So is the cut-off time set, or the cut-off time can be adjusted? Is it adjusted per application? And can the permission be withdrawn?
Well, it's fixed. We have a standard, because we don't want to have double standard where we give Tom one time and we give Harry a different time. We have a standard. It's 3 o'clock on weekends, 3 a.m. on weekends, and 2 a.m. weekdays. But now coming on in this festive season, we know Carnival has started and people party later. We now extend the time to 4 a.m. And so we observe the risk is only for a month. December naturally is a month where we have more accidents, especially at night. And so we just put measures in place to deal with it for the month. But we are more liberal this time of the year, allow persons to party longer. So in some cases you would even see us allowed up to 5 a.m. This depends on the activity. But cut-off time for this period now would be 4 a.m. But generally it is 3 a.m. weekends and 2 a.m. weekdays, and that is across the board.
And the permission can be withdrawn?
The permission can be withdrawn if your event is a nuisance to the neighborhood, or if they find that the persons are not behaving in an orderly manner at the event and it's causing issues for security, then we may curtail that event.
One other thing I would like to say to the general public, there were times where police officers, they will visit to say, just to turn the music down. But then sometimes some DJs, they believe, well, you shouldn't tell us that. And even some promoters. And then at the end of the day, we have a larger person to deal with, which is the public, who complain about the noise. So therefore we have to see to that. So I'm using this opportunity to encourage all DJs and promoters that whenever the police come because of a complaint, just comply by turning it down. The police can say, okay, hold on, make a call and say, how that sound? The police say, okay, that's good. They say, okay, that's good enough. You know, but some people, they want to hear it boom, boom, shaking the heart, shaking on the building, and feel satisfied with that. But there are other persons they have to consider when they are enjoying themselves as well.
So you're saying that it is equally important for the DJs and promoters to play a part in security?
Indeed.
And controlling their function?
Indeed.
Beautiful.
Indeed.
Okay. Now, what events, you're speaking about events and permission, what events require permission from the police? I think you touched on that a little earlier. So
as long as well, two things. As long as there's music, there's noise. If you're using noisy instruments at the event, or if you are going to cause any obstruction to the roadway, right, you would require permission. So if you're having a match or a walkathon, you're going to use the roadway, you're going to cause some obstruction, you require permission. You're not going to have You're not going to have music at a walkathon, but you're going to be using the road, and it's going to be a group of persons, and so you're going to create some obstruction for traffic, and so you would require permission so that the police is aware, and we would normally provide escort for these things to ensure that traffic can still flow freely, and that your walkers, persons who are walking, are safe. So if you're having any procession that is using the public road, or if you're having loud music, any form of music, then you require permission for those events.
Does this permission include carnival events? Does carnival events have to apply? Or they just put something on the calendar as they have and just do the thing?
There's a whole act governing carnival.
Whole act?
Right. It's called the National Carnival Act, I think. Yes. So the Carnival Committee has that broad authority under the act to plan events and organize events. And other individuals who want to host events during that period has to apply to the Carnival Committee. So that all those other fringe events, the fetes and those
that are connected to Carnival
on the Carnival calendar, they are approved by the Carnival Committee. They have to be approved. So you can't just have a fete during the Carnival period without the permission of the Carnival Committee, and of course the police. So if it's not organized by the Carnival Committee, you have to get a permission from the Carnival Committee to have your event during that period, and you still have to have permission from the police to play loud music in a public place. So private individuals who want to host events during the carnival period, especially events that would compete with carnival events, you have to get permission from the Carnival Committee. They sort of have a monopoly on events during the carnival period. And so all events, major events in particular, that are public, has to be approved by the Carnival Committee and the police. The Carnival Committee do not need to get permission from the police to host an event.
One additional thing, permission.
But they just want the police to provide security.
But so because of the nature of the events, you're going to attract crowds, you're going to have persons, the public there, then they work along with the police. So that is why we have a representative from the police force and the Carnival Committee, Superintendent David. He's our representative there, so that whatever decision, whatever planning that goes on, the police are part of that.
Okay. Is there any other agency or body that promoters have to apply to We talk about carnival. We talk
Yes.
about the police have to know. Is there any other body?
Yeah, well, we've been hearing recently this group that is called ECHO. I think is what is the what is that? Eastern Caribbean. I'll find it. But ECHO. That body that oversees music rights or protect music rights. Yes. You have to apply
Copyright
to
and stuff like that.
copyright, right? I'll get the
acronym.
I'll get the name of the acronym. But you have to apply to that body. If you're having any events that again has music, you're going to have music. Any public events with music, you have to apply to that body for permission. Basically getting the rights to play to the music that you'll be playing. It's called the Eastern Caribbean Collective Organization for Music Rights. And so you would have to get a license from that organization, and then present that license to the police in order for the police to grant permission for your event. So it's an addition that we would have to add to our website now.
Yes.
We have to include a field where you would upload the license from ECHO, and that will be a condition for the police approving your license. It has to be approved by, you have to obtain the license from ECHO first, present it to us, and then we would process your application.
So as we stand here, most of the major promoters, they know this, right?
Well,
they know this already.
They should know because that group was on a public relations campaign recently. They had a town hall meeting recently at NEMO, where they had all promoters and event planners at that question and answer session. And they have been in the media. We heard the controversy between them and Music Festival just after Music Festival. And so they have been front and center in the media, asserting their authority to control events and protect the rights of the creators of music and other intellectual property.
What that does too is also protect the individual who want to perform whatever, because if you don't get permission to use another person's material, that can be problematic financially, and if the finances may not be there available, sometimes you may have to go over to HMP for whatever infringement of the court. Yes, because the court may stipulate a particular penalty, and if you do not meet that, you may say either this or sometime in prison. So we will really take this opportunity to encourage persons to comply with all the necessaries that are required for them to have their events to come off and come off successfully. And when I say successfully, I look at the back end of the same ECHO from have to administer its rights and privileges regarding the persons involved. So promoters, musicians and band members and so forth comply with the entire process, and I don't think that when it comes to legal ramifications that you will have any challenges. But then you have to encourage also your patrons to come and support you, and that's why they're really there for, their patrons supporting them.
Let me ask
website for that organization is echorights.org, ECCO-rights.org. So go to the website and you see how you obtain a license. Right, the website would indicate there's a field for get a license, and you click on that button and it will take you to the various type of licenses. You choose which type of event that you are having. You have application for concerts and events permit, application for hotels and guest house, application for restaurants and bars, and general licensing. Based on the type of event that you are having, you would select the appropriate application. You complete the form, send it to them, and they would tell you how you would pay and send you your license once your application is approved. So go to echorights.org and you would see how you would apply for your license, and once you get your license, then you'll be required to upload that license to our site. We haven't adjusted our site as yet, but that will be done in due course, and so that will be a requirement for us granting the permit.
Okay, thank you. Okay, one last question. Before we break for a word from our sponsors, one last question. Money is always an interesting topic. Making money or spending money is always an interesting topic. Why are promoters required to pay for police security at these events? At the events?
Well, there are some events that will require police presence. And if you are looking for security, you have to pay for it. For example, if we know when it comes to activities that will have bands, and most people say have private security, but private security, when they see crimes taking place, they either shun away from it or they just don't know how to deal with it. And at the end of the day, when people see uniformed police officers present, you tend to have a better atmosphere. And because of these, some of these events that require a large number of persons, and it is expected that violent conduct will come about, the police presence will be there. And therefore, it's not an event that is a national event, but more of a private event. And that's why these promoters will have to pay for the police presence there.
Okay, before we break, is there a specific cost, or we're not going to mention the cost now?
No, well, the cost, we have something worked out in terms of rank structure. So because you have to go through a number of things, we just...
So there's a different cost per rank?
Yes.
Well, it's $25 for a constable, $25 per hour, and for the supervisor it's $30 per hour. Okay. And as the superintendent said, it's not all events that we would require persons to have police security. It's usually those events with the major bands, the jam bands. If it's a small house band, police, maybe not. But if you're going to have the bands that really pull the crowd, the popular bands that pull a crowd, we get a different atmosphere, different crowd behavior in those events, and the risk for violence or for disturbances, disorderly behavior, the risks are higher, and so it is best to have a uniformed police presence there to deter and to prevent that type of
and able to enforce the life.
And if it happens, then we could have a quick response rather than having to call the station to say there's a big fight up here and the police take 10 minutes to reach. By the time the police reach, the fight is out of control. It's better to have the police on the ground to prevent the fight in the first place. And so that is the thinking behind having the police presence.
And not only that, it's not just unique to St. Kitts and Nevis. Right. If you look at some places, there's some activities in the US, when the police go in and put up the budget and other things, and they will just charge the person that you caused the event to be there and put the strain and the resources.
Right. So that's why you have to pay for the police, because we cannot use the police who are on actual duty, because they still have their regular routine police duty. Service in the community. If there's a report in the village, they have to respond to that. If something happens, there's an accident someplace, they have to respond to that. And so if we take those police who are there to respond and investigate reports and put them at an event, then there will be nobody to respond to. And so we are forced to use those officers who are on their off days. So those police who are not on actual duty, they're on their rest days, their off days, those are the ones that we will bring back to work at these events. And we cannot ask them to work at the event and not compensate them.
Yes, correct.
And because they're working specifically for your private event, the organizer for that event would have to be the one to compensate them. We cannot ask the government to compensate them to working at your private event. So the organizers or the promoter of the event will be the one responsible for compensating the officers for working on their offline.
Okay, so security, a budget for security, a security budget is important to factor into
when you're planning an event, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And before you go, it's like to encourage the promoters. But most of the time, they will factor for private security, but not for the public security. So we want to encourage your promoters. Ensure that, now Superintendent has mentioned the figures, you should put the figure in for public security when you're having these bans that will require you to have police presence.
And the number of police officers for the event depends on a number of factors. It depends on the venue. And the venue that is smaller and more enclosed is easier control, and so you would have less police. A venue that is open and expansive, you will need to have more police because there's more areas that the police will have to cover.
That would draw a amount of crowd and stuff.
Right. The amount of anticipated size of the crowd, we have to also factor that because there's a formula that we have to use the number of police officers per number of patrons. So it depends on the number of patrons, then the number of police officers will have to be adjusted accordingly. You can't have 2 police and you have 500 people at your event. That's just not adequate. So we have to factor that, take those factors into consideration when determining the number of police officers. The venue, the size of the crowd, and the
threat level,
type of event.
Security check.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. We're gonna break for a word from our sponsors. When we come back, we're gonna open the lines for any questions from any callers. GQ, over to you.
Say what you think, what you think, what you think, what you think about Jersey.
Are you looking to shop where the best price and the best service is guaranteed? Then look no further. Kumar's is the place where you can get the best price and the best service. Shop retail or wholesale with specials on Fridays and super specials on Saturdays. Visit us at Needless in the Old Form Deco Building. Telephone number 465-1010 or 664-1010. Opening hours from December 16th to the 22nd, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. And from December 23rd to the 24th, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Kumar's, where service is a pleasure.
Capture the magical feeling of the holidays with sparkling gifts from Pandora Jewelry. Each hand-finished piece is a symbol of your special connection, a surprise that says it all. Choose from starry symbols, festive designs, and thoughtfully styled gift sets. Make special moments shine bright and warm the hearts of everyone on your list with a little box of love. Give more than a gift with Pandora Jewelry.
Available at IC Jewelers Woodsante. Visit us or call 466-5853 for more details.
Christmas is always brighter with Harris Paints, and for our 50th anniversary, we're giving you even more. Shop now for up to 15% off select Harris Paints and accessories. Then post a before and after photo of your paint project on our Facebook page, Champions of Color, telling us how we help to transform your space for a chance to win a share of US $10,000. Get the best for less with Harris this holiday season. See in-store or online for details.
Happy 100 Days is back. Come on now, let's celebrate with CNC Auto Services and Honda, bringing you savings for this holiday season. Save with as low as 4.5% interest financing with up to a 7-year repayment plan available. Plus, there's more. Every new model purchase includes our signature package with free battery replacements, tinting, licensing, and registration. And there's also more. Free in-car Wi-Fi for 1 month, free gas for 3 months, and free servicing for 3 years. So come celebrate happy 100 days with us. CNC Auto Services, Bay Road, Bastille. Call 465-9317. Call now.
Okay, welcome back to our feature program of Policing with You. I have in the studio with me Superintendent Henry and Superintendent David, and we're talking about Christmas, Carnival, and festivities. Before we go open the lines and before we go to any calls and go back to the questions, I would like to mention at least 3 security tips with reference to vehicles. Always lock vehicle doors after entering and leaving your car. When going to the ATM machine, lock your vehicle doors before you go into the ATM machine. Also, do not use the ATMs that are far away or deserted. If you are driving home and you feel like you are being followed, drive to the nearest police station and report the matter to the police. Do not leave items such as bags, cell phones, laptops, purse, and other items visible on the seat of the vehicle. Pack away everything in the glove compartment or trunk of the vehicle before leaving and locking the vehicle. Those are some additional security tips. GQ, do we have any calls? No calls? Okay, we're going to go back to some questions. Superintendent Henry, is there a time frame for submission of the application?
Yeah, our system would not allow you to apply less than 3 days before the event. And this is for obvious reasons. We have to plan our police resources. Even if your event would not require police presence, we still have to make sure we have sufficient resources to respond to something should something happen at the event. And so we have to be aware of your event, and we have to plan our resources to deal with anything that may happen at the event, especially if there is no police working at the event. So we need at least 3 days notice in order for us to process it. And also, if your event is tomorrow and you apply today, we may not get a chance today to look at the application because we have other things that we are doing. And so it gives us time to look at the application as well. So if your event is tomorrow and you apply today and we didn't look at the applications today, then we may miss your event and you may not have approval in time for tomorrow. So it is always best to give us at least 3 days, but we prefer if you apply further out, because I don't think you decide 3 days before that you want to have a meeting, a party 3 days.
You have to advertise.
Right, you have to advertise. So in fact, you should get permission before you advertise. You have a call, let's take the call and then
you have a call? Okay. GQ. Yes, Pleasant, good morning. You're on the air. Police
yeah, good morning, all ranks.
Morning, sir.
Morning.
And Commissioner GQ.
Yes.
I have a suggestion and a question. Now here is the suggestion. I think that all public service places, if they have the space, they should have at least 3 or more. It just depends on the size of space of what you call wheelchair painted portrait, painted in blue, and you have like the 1 to 3 parking lot with that wheelchair paint in that. So anybody who are not immobile park in that space here, and the police come and they do not have what you call it inside your car to indicate that you have a decal that you carrying and a handicap, then the police should boot the car and then haul it away in a record. Because those blue signs on the ground means they are there for people who are physically set back. That's the suggestion I have. But then the question now, how is it and why is it you have them young fellows up and down on the government road with pedal bicycle, redesign with a motor on it, and they're not licensed. And every day they up and down the government, that main road down there in Cairn Street, that every day. And they're not passing by the one, they're passing with the twos. I mean, I want to know, how is it they're allowed to be on the road like that? That's the question. Okay. So anyway, I'll listen out to you, gentlemen.
Yes, so thank you for that, question. Do you have any more calls? Okay.
Well, I won't say that they're allowed. Whenever they come to our attention, whenever we see them, they are dealt with. In fact, we have a few of those bikes in police custody at this time. So whenever we see them, we take them off the road. So they're not allowed. But and we discourage it. The traffic department had a program, and they gave the program, part of the program, to sensitizing the public on the use of those vehicles. They were not made to be motorcycles. They are bicycles, and if you modify it and add a motor to it, then it has to be approved by licensing authority before it comes on the road, because it is now a motorcycle. If you have a bicycle and you put a motor on it, it is no longer a motorcycle, a bicycle. It is now a motorcycle, and before it comes on the road, it has to be inspected and approved by licensing authority.
Thank you. I would like to thank the caller for that and encourage not only him but others to just call the police when they see these things taking place.
Okay. We have another call?
Good morning.
Okay, Pleasant, good morning. You're on the air. Police in with you.
Hi, pleasant morning to you guys.
Morning.
It's a matter of concern. I have noticed that when the tourist boat should start in, the people that comes off the boat the tourists that comes off the boat have no regard for the stoplights. They are running the stoplights, and even when they're red, they're just crossing the road, so you're going to have to put police here, put proper security here, or enforce something pertaining to the crossing when it comes to those points, because then if we knock them down, you know what happens? Somebody either going to jail or they will go.
All right, thank you very much.
Also, the other day, 2 days ago when the boat was in, they're actually walking past when the light is green. And this morning, we can't do it in the country, so why should they come and disregard our stop line?
Yes, I agree. Jaywalking.
There's a serious concern right in the junction there by the museum. A very, very serious concern when the tourist ship is there. So could you please look into it, please?
Yes, please. Well, thank you very much, Superintendent.
You're welcome.
Yeah, well, thanks for that observation. And yes, I'm surprised that they do that, because they have traffic lights before us, so they should know how to use these junctions, and it is a dangerous practice. And I really hope that nothing happens unto what happened there when they do that. But yeah, it is wrong. If the light signal says to wait, then all pedestrians are required to wait until they get a signal to go. And this applies to all pedestrians, whether they are tourists or locals. There are no exemptions for tourists, and so I really hope that persons would see the lights and comply with what the light says.
Well, I also would like to chip in. I hope that some of the we call them the agents for these vessels are listening, and they can also speak with the captain of the person when they come in. Just be mindful of the traffic laws of St. Kitts and Nevis, and avoid any unfortunate situation that can arise. That's and then they would like to, may want to hold the country liable for such activity. So I hope that they are listening and calls in.
Okay, thank you very much. Another call? Okay, Pleasant, good morning. You're on the air, police with you. Yes, you're on the air. Is that caller there?
Yeah, I'm here. A lot of noise on the phone.
Okay, go ahead. Speak louder, please.
I say I quite agree with that caller before about the crosswalk there.
Go ahead, caller. We're hearing you.
I agree with that caller.
Yes.
Yeah, she said.
Waiting on the lights.
Okay, the caller is breaking up, but I think she says she's agree with the caller.
Yeah, even people with the wheelchairs coming across. I had to give some of them some choice words the other day because I was so annoyed. I say, why would they do something like this? They must know better where they come from. I'm sure they have street lights. So why are they doing this?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so that caller supported the caller from before. Yes, any more calls? Okay, no more calls. The caller supported the caller from before. Persons jaywalking should not be doing that.
And as I remember when the lights came up first, we had someone was taken before the court for the same thing. So
correct.
Once it's done in the view of a police officer, the police officer can take actions, and once they go before the court will take the appropriate course of action regarding it, based on the evidence produced, I must import.
Okay, another question. Will the no glass bottle policy and no weapon policy continue?
Indeed, when it comes to carnival and any event that we have mass gathering and where persons out have to enter and certain conditions, that is strongly recommended. So we will continue with that thrust. No glass bottles in the jam sessions, no glass bottle to be issued to persons who are at an event. Pour the drink in a glass or plastic. And weapons, when it comes to weapons, we're looking at whether it's lawful or otherwise. And I say lawful, I mean we have licensed firearm holders. We have licensed firearm holders. You're not to take these firearms to these events. You have to leave it home or drop it off at the nearest police station and collect it after the event. And sometimes persons say, oh, I look at for my defense, they have a machete. They have knives and what you call them, ice pick And we're saying to you that this will not be tolerated, and we'll continue that thrust as a police force, and we continue to encourage organizers to also assist by putting up the various labels and make the necessary announcements in order for patrons to comply and avoid or minimize these incidences.
Okay, thank you. We have another call. Pleasant, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes,
good morning.
You're listening?
Yes, I'm hearing you. I'm calling in connection with a disturbing noise in the background there. A disturbing static. I'm calling in connection with the matter of noise pollution.
Noise pollution, yes?
Yeah, now this matter has been discussed on the traffic program, and the officers there, I believe, were suggesting that in order for traffic to be able to deal with it, there needs to be some amendment to the Vehicles and Road Traffic Act. And I am of the mindset that I am of the view that there may not necessarily be a need to amend the Vehicles and Road Traffic Act in order to deal with that problem, because the Noise Abatement Act has a particular provision that allows police officers, and I think the traffic officer had said quite clearly that traffic officers are also police officers, and the Noise Abatement Act makes provision for police officers to be able to deal with that problem.
Caller, is there a specific question you wanna raise?
Beg pardon?
Is there a specific question you wanna raise?
The question is,
yes,
whether or not the police cannot act based on the Noise Abatement Act and deal with the problem of noise pollution coming from vehicles.
Okay, beautiful. And Superintendent Henry is able to address that.
Refer to Section 10 of the Noise Abatement Act, where it says that the police, on receipt of a complaint or on becoming aware of noise which is likely to disturb persons, shall investigate and notify the persons responsible, etc., etc.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Superintendent Henry?
All right.
Yes. Yes, the traffic officers were correct. This particular noise cannot be dealt with under the Traffic Act, because the Traffic Act speaks, when it speaks to noisy vehicle, that noise refers to the noise from the silencer. And so I think that the noise that you are speaking about are noise that comes from speakers and other apparatus that they may have on the vehicle. The Noise Abatement Act, yes, that would have to be addressed under the Noise Abatement Act, or it could be addressed under the Small Charges Act. But there's still some things that we have to satisfy. Under the Noise Abatement Act, we would have to use a decimeter to determine if the noise was above a certain level, and then there's some challenges there with that. Under the Small Charges Act, the person who is annoyed, we could charge them for being a nuisance, but the person who is annoyed by the noise would have to come and give evidence, so that if, for example, you complain that this vehicle passed up your street and it's making noise and the noise is disturbing to you, you would have to come to court to give that evidence that the noise was a nuisance to you, and in order for the police to go forward with the case. And so there may have to be some specific legislation to noise on vehicles, so to address this problem. But the current legislation that we have, it's a bit not as straightforward as we would like it to be. And so it is something that we recognize is becoming a problem, and we have discussions on it internally, and I'm certain very shortly in the new year something will be done to address it. But the current legislation that we have, there will be a bit of a challenge in using them. We have two more calls?
Yes. Yes, go ahead. Pleasant, good morning. You're on the air. Policing with you.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir. And good morning to Jokyo, and good morning to the superintendent.
Morning.
You all have a good Christmas.
Same to you.
I want to agree with the two callers there that's speaking about with the guests, the tourists them come here and borrowing our stoplight. Some time ago, I was coming out of the bank and I had to cross to go by the treasury. And I saw a group of people want to pass. I had to stop them and tell them no, they have to wait on the light. You see the things they walk. But if some of us don't be there to stop them, they will continue walking, and that is where they'll be have a collision. And the problem will be, oh, the window think it, and again, not down by these things. But still, just talking about the captain's supposed to be talking to them. They know where they live, where they come from. They have stoplights, and they have to show example what they have back home is what should be seen in St. Kitts. But anyhow, to the two superintendents, I would like to know from y'all. Y'all have some recruits, and up to now, at this present moment, that don't have physical training almost a year going. And they'll be in town. And if something have to happen to somebody in a violence, would they go and touch them, knowing that they don't have a physical training to come out to be a police officer? Because if they have to touch somebody, government going to be in a lot of trouble. And I would like to know from you all, why is it that do not have physical training for these recruits who is doing a good job while they're on duty in Bass? And I leave my case here. Let's get a good answer, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Can we have the last caller as well? President, good morning. You're on the air. Police with you. Good morning. You're on the air. Can we last that caller? Caller?
Good morning.
Okay, good morning. You're on the air.
This is Dumpling speaking.
Morning, Dumpling.
I had the same problem with this load of noise, right? Because last week Friday some tourists did on the bay. And the tourists are running, coming over there by where we be, where the toilet. Because these boss, I want to know if it's Grandmaster or Smarlax them coming with music. You understand? And the lady asking me why the noise is so loud. You understand? And they really had for sure. I had to do something about that. You understand me? And got police down there, they ain't stopping them. They're coming and they're doing it, they like. He got bus ban again, come down, boys are bus farm. He feel the cool St. Kitts bus terminal down the bay. He coming from round the fourth way, instead of he go straight round and then come round, he drive in from where he come from and come where you're supposed to go. Come out, he driving in and going in there where the bus they be. And they abuse people and going on. And I need to do something about him because the recruit them all along there, they like to afraid him. And he just going on and going on. You understand me? So I had to do something with down the ferry terminal because he got the two ladies that's down the only one down there now. And the girl that's be working hard. Sometimes no police down there with her. She in the sun had to control the traffic and all them kind of things. I mean, I must try to assist them girls because they don't work hard, man. This is Dumpling.
All right, Dumpling, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, that was the last call. Okay, superintendents, I think there was a question, recruits in town, no training. What is being done?
Well, usually when we have recruits on duty, they usually accompany a trained officer. So we would not detail a recruit in town by themselves. They would always be accompanied by a trained officer. Notwithstanding that though, they are sworn police officers, and so they can take, if they take action, if something happens and they take action, they are protected by the law still. They are police officers, notwithstanding that they haven't been trained. They are police officers and they are protected by the Police Act and all the powers that they conferred on a police officer. So if they arrest somebody, they cannot be sued as long as the arrest is lawful.
And coupled with that, they have on-the-job training.
Yes.
So,
Right.
so that also complements their functioning. You know, so though they may not have gone through
Formal
the
training.
formal training,
Right.
they have on-the-job training, and throughout the world, whichever organization you have that component there to ensure that staff are being up to date and educated and function accordingly.
So we don't want anyone to think that they recruit, they can't do nothing here in the police.
Yes.
They are sworn police. They're sworn police officers, and they have all the powers, just like I have.
Yes.
Indeed. I have 3 more questions before we wrap up the program. What are some of the security tips and security and safety tips the police can give for the season, Superintendent David?
Thank you very much for me to enlighten the public and assist the Carnival Committee regarding safety during Carnival. As mentioned earlier, we are encouraging persons to, if you have to go someplace and consume alcohol, have an alternate driver or do not drink at all. Go home early. And also not only alcohol, but any other sedative drug. Do not use them and drive. Do not be driving and feeling sleepy. Park up along the side of the road once it's safe. And even if you have to go by a police station, sitting at the front so long until you cool off, do that. Otherwise, do not drive while feeling sleepy. Can get into an accident. As mentioned earlier, there will be no weapons permitted in the events, whether you're street jamming or at carnival events. In terms of street parades and so forth, we're saying no weapons. And when I say no weapons, we're encouraging persons of licensed firearm to leave them at home or to the nearest police station, because during those times people consume alcohol, and the mode of the time will create some excitement in you, and some persons will feel like they can just do a number of things. And also to avoid exposing cash in the public. And I not only mean an individual who might be purchasing, but I also speaking to proprietors, persons who are working for someone. You're going to make change, you should not expose. You have $1,000 there. One of your patrons could be somebody who is not actually a full patron in itself. Come back later and relieve you of your hard-earned revenue. We're also encouraging persons, parents in particular, to ensure they control their children properly around crowds. Do not have little children not properly controlled, and then later on you cannot find, and they're brought to the police station or someone find the child, give you. And now these days they might take the child to the station, but something unfortunate can happen. And we're saying take control and ensure that persons do not jam close the wheels of the vehicles that are transporting the bands in order to facilitate the carnival procession. We want persons also to comply with the instructions of the marshals. You know, they have the marshals that are there for safety and security. We're encouraging persons to do not go among the troops, because that in itself you are creating a problem. The trucks and so forth that will be facilitating the troops, ensure that when you are giving drinks, they're not in glass bottles. We are saying these to persons. As well, also to persons who are in the troops, and we have the folklore troops and so forth. We are saying to you, if a person does not appreciate whether you coming on them or going on, you know what I mean, avoid all of that to prevent a situation that may not be pleasant and where the police may have to come and investigate. Finally, we would like to encourage the promoters as well to ensure that they themselves too have all the necessary safety measures in place. I know Carnival Committee, they will put out their own release, but they will also have their various postings, and they will also give the release. But we will also give one as well, we'll give further, and we are doing this at this time as well. But at the end of the day, we want persons to realize that safety is paramount. Everyone leave home expecting to return, and we like that to happen. And we're encouraging persons. Lastly, parents, try to avoid persons, teenagers in particularly, from just going to town and, you know, without proper supervision, and then later you have an issue. Go with them, encourage them to behave themselves and return home. So, I'd like to take this opportunity to wish everyone Merry Christmas, a good carnival season. Enjoy yourselves, and that God will continue to bless us to see another year. So, thank you very much, GQ, ZIZ staff, Superintendent Francis.
So we're wrapping up. I got 2 more questions.
No. I have to say that because I know that depending on how things go, I may not have the time. So I'm looking that I could say that just before the question comes, at least I could say that because I may go straight into the questions. So thank you very much, and I would like everybody to comply with the security aspects that I just mentioned.
Okay, we're going to wrap up quickly. Street and sidewalk vending in Bastille has been restricted. Will this restriction be lifted during the carnival, Superintendent?
Well, yes, the carnival committee, as I mentioned earlier, the carnival committee basically controls what happens with respect to carnival, and street vending is part of the whole carnival atmosphere that is created in downtown Bastille. So yes, we would allow some amount of controlled street vending, but only persons who have applied to and approved by the carnival committee will be permitted street vending. So for those persons who wants to vend during carnival, you have to apply to the carnival committee. The carnival committee will issue you a license and issue you a specific spot where you would vend, so you cannot just set up anywhere. So you would have a specific spot, and you would have the time period within which you can use that spot. So during the carnival period, I think it's from the 19th thereabout, they would allow the street vending until the end of carnival, January 3rd. And so during that period, you would be able to set up your vending stall and the area that you have been allotted to you. And then after that, you will be required to move it, and we go back to street vending.
Okay, last question, and then I'll allow the superintendents to wrap up. If I have a liquor license for my bar, can I use it for an event I am having elsewhere? Last question.
The liquor license is for that particular premises. So if someone needs to go to another location, they should go to Inland Revenue and get a temporary liquor license for that location, and they can apply. But like I said, it's for that particular location, and it's not transferable. So we want to encourage persons to comply with the law and ensure that they don't get themselves in any unnecessary.
And that is important, because on our application form, the application form asks whether or not you'll be serving liquor at your event. And if you're serving liquor, then it asks you to produce a liquor license. So if you are having an event at a venue that is not your usual place of business, or a venue that is not a licensed liquor premises, then you would require to upload that temporary license that you get from Inland Revenue, so that we would be satisfied that you have the appropriate license to sell liquor or serve liquor at that venue.
And Vice Mayor liquor license, I take this opportunity not just for carnival, but for regular time. Please, persons who are licensed owners and have licensed premises, do not sell or give liquor to anyone under the age of 18. It's an offense, and we want to encourage you to continue to abide by the law, and let us protect our young amongst us. So,
any parting words, Superintendent? Any wrapping up?
Well, I said everything earlier.
Okay.
Or just to say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, because this is our last.
Thank you very much, Superintendent.
Well, we want to thank everyone for listening to this program. I know that there were not much questions about events and matters pertaining to events. So I will take it that everyone understands the process. We have been doing it for a while now, so I will take it that everyone understands what needs to be done. But we thought that we would do the program this morning for those persons who may not have known to become educated. And so we look forward for good cooperation with persons who are hosting events. Remember, if you're having any event where you're going to have music, you're required to get permission to play music, and now you have to get permission from ECHO, the license, the rights to use the music, and you have to get permission from the police in order to make noise in public. So we look for the cooperation of persons, event organizers and event planners, and we want to wish everyone a safe and a very enjoyable carnival season.
Thank you very much, Superintendent. From me, I'm going to wrap up with some security tips and then my closing comments. Personal security tips: when walking home, try to stay in well-lit areas. Where possible, walk in pairs or groups when attending functions. Try and have minimum cash on your hand and use your debit and credit card as often as you can. Keep your bank telephone number, your bank details, telephone number in a safe location just in case you would need to call and cancel a lost or stolen credit or debit card. When approaching your front door, have the entry key already in hand to insert into your locks. For business safety, business places must encourage their cashiers to ask for identification when accepting debit and credit cards as payments. Encourage the use of credit cards and are encourage patrons to use credit and debit cards to minimize cash on hand in their business, and they ensure that periodic bank deposits are done throughout the day to prevent a large sum of cash from being deposited at the end of the workday. And the last tip is, this is a good time for businesses to back check and ensure that all of their security cameras are working, and install additional security cameras when necessary. From me, I want to wish everyone a festive, safe and enjoyable Christmas season and a happy new year when it comes. I want to thank you throughout this year 2022 for tuning in for Policing with You, and hope to see you next year 2023. God spare our lives. I want to thank the management and staff, all the sponsors throughout 2022 for the Policing with You program. It's a very good initiative that the police have brought on stream in order to sensitize the general public as a community effort. GQ, I want to thank you very much for hosting the program this year 2022. All the best to you and your family and your loved ones. I want to thank the management and staff of ZIZ. I want to thank everybody. I want to thank the Commissioner of Police and the High Command for continuing being a part of this program and pushing it from the background. I want to thank the Public Relations Officer, Ms. Jackie, and she's a very, very strong tower in keeping this program alive. Okay, I want to thank everyone and have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. GQ, see you when I see you. See you when I see you.
Why all the segregation, all our but one nation, oh, let us unite as one.